Hi, welcome back to this week's resolution, the podcast where we look behind the scenes at our student government. I'm Erin Gibbs.
And I'm Charles Irvin. This week, we're taking a deep dive into the UPUA's Know Your Academic Rights campaign. And here to help us explain exactly what that is Ryan Setzfan. He is the chair of the Academic Affairs Committee within the UPUA.
So let's dive in. Can you explain to us what the Know Your Rights campaign is?
Absolutely. The Know Your Academic Rights campaign was a campaign started by UPUA around 10 or so years ago to better inform students of the academic policies and rights that students have for each and every single one of their classes, whether they are here at University Park, at Commonwealth campuses and World Campus, whatever the class where it takes place, there are certain rights that go along with that. And among those include related to class attendance, students having religious and interview exemptions and encouraging also participation in election day, etc., as well as other policies related to how does a student withdraw from the university should certain situations arise, how do students drop and add classes, as well as one of the most common questions that we see from students is in the week before finals week, professors cannot have an exam worth more than, or assignment worth more than 10% of their grade. So that's another very important policy that students kind of often come to us with questions. But those are some of the policies related to the academic rights campaign.
Really cool. I read that you deal a lot with like student syllabi. That's generally the focus of the campaign, correct?
That's certainly one of the policies that we try and highlight. Depending on, we usually have a campaign at the very start of the semester related to class syllabi when we usually highlight that and how professors need to provide syllabi in electronic or printed form to students, and if there's any updates, they need to communicate that to students appropriately. And then midway through the semester, which is what you just saw this past week with the exam conflict for finals, and then near the end of the semester, we highlight other academic policies related to deferring a class grade should certain circumstances arise, as well as other kind of time-relevant policies related to the end of the semester or end of the year.
For those that don't know, we're talking about this topic this week because last week the UPUA voted on a bill to expand the Know Your Academic Rights campaign. And I'll point out that it passed unanimously within your legislative body. And I was wondering, can you tell me a little bit about the demand you're seeing in the student body? You know, do you see that a lot of students are looking for this sort of representation?
Absolutely. I would say that a lot of students generally don't necessarily understand some of the academic policies. They're maybe not as transparent. They're on a website that can be hard to find and hard to navigate. So trying to better inform students related to these policies and kind of what to do in these situations where some of these policies might not be followed. To if you can inform the student of what their rights are, then they can talk to the professor and potentially mitigate that issue for the entire class if there's any issues moving forward.
Absolutely, yeah.
And yeah.
Really awesome.
So going back to that resolution that was passed, what exactly did it expand with the campaign?
Yeah, so this is the first year that the campaign dealt with final exam conflicts. And so this year we wanted to really highlight for students kind of what that means. So there are two different types of conflicts. One being a direct conflict, that if a student has two final exams that are scheduled during the exact same time, then they have to file a request to move one of those exams. Obviously, you can't be in two places at once taking finals. And then the second type of final exam for the exam conflict period relates to overload exemptions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something referred to as when a student has more than three or more finals scheduled on one singular day during finals week. And so students then have the option, if they want to go into line path and say, I would like to move one to however many finals are over that limit, so that they can appropriately study and better prepare for their final exams. It's in the best interest of students, and the university has recognized this. That's in the best interest of learning to try and spread out finals when you have above that certain limit.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a clarifying question: does this extend to students at like branch campuses?
Absolutely. The policies that are covered in the University Faculty Senate, which is the body that approves these policies, kind of oversees educational policy at Penn State. It covers University Park, covers branch campuses, covers World Campus, and even graduate students.
Well, I have to play devil's advocate for a second. Obviously, with this sort of campaign, you're always going to have students that wish that there was more information out there. So, with that in mind, is there a way that you think the campaign could improve, and/or in the future, in the next year, where do you hope that it could go?
Absolutely, I think the campaign has come a long way since it was first started 10 or so years ago, but there's obviously still room for improvement. And I think this is the second year that we've done Instagram ads to try and better inform students in that regard. But I think there's other ways that we can better reach students where they are. And one of those ways is kind of better working with academic colleges and our university partners to communicate through newsletters and other sources to better reach students.
Yeah, that sort of like direct approach, making sure that the information is being disseminated down. I like that. Ryan, was there anything else that you didn't get to mention that you'd like to add?
Yeah, absolutely. So the general process that if a student learns through the academic rights campaign that one of their academic rights or policies is not being followed appropriately in their class, the first procedure that they should normally try and do is talk to the professor. But in the event that that is not successful, a student can also file what is known as a University Faculty Senate petition, and those normally take around 5 to 6 weeks to process. But that is another way that students can kind of bring whatever issue is apparent for the student to light to the university and hopefully mitigate that process in time by the end of the semester.
So if you have an issue, you'd say make sure to act quickly, is what you're saying?
Absolutely. There are certain policies, such as for the final exams during the second to last week of classes, certain projects or tests can't be more than 10%. It's very important that issues like that be brought to the professor's attention and to the university's attention immediately due to syllabus and scheduling concerns and issues for classes. So certainly the earlier, the better.
Great.
All right, well, that's all we have for you today. Thank you for coming on the show. And if you want to learn more about the student government, you can go to upua.org.
And I'll also add, for breaking news and more coverage of the UPUA, visit psucollegian.com to follow along with all new bills and resolutions.
All right, be sure to look for new episodes soon. Thank you.